Manhood and Christlikeness are synonymous, and this was a famous quote by Edwin Cole that he used to share with men all over the world as he was discipling them and training them to become real men. And he was the founder as well of the Christian Men's Network, which disciples and trains men all over the world to become more and more like Christ. So in today's episode, we're going to review his book called Maximized Manhood, which became a best-selling book during his time, and even today, it's still the message is still true of what Christ-like manhood looks like, helping men to become all that God created them to be. So, hi everyone, my name is Jamal, your host, and welcome to Motivated to Inspire. And so, through his program, Ed Cole's program, Majoring in Manhood, it's a curriculum which is got a number of books, Maximized Manhood being one of them, which address different areas about men's life and how they ought to align themselves with the Word of God. So this is just one of the first of many of them, and it became a best-selling book, like I mentioned. And so I just want to touch on some of the key lessons that you'll find in this book. And the first one, like I mentioned, manhood and Christ-likeness are synonymous. So what normally happens is we have a definition from the world that says men, this is what a man is supposed to be. Men are not supposed to cry. Men are supposed to always show their tough exterior. They don't show affection. And this is a picture that is painted through various media and other people that have gotten the same kind of message from previous generations. But that's not what real manhood looks like. Yes, being a man involves being tough and whatnot, but there's so much more to that. And when we look at the life of Christ, we come to learn that he was a man, yes, who was tough, but he also had a tender side to him, especially in the way he used to minister to those that were lost, those that were hurting and needed help in their own lives. So this is a book I would really encourage you to get to really get a balanced perspective of what Christ-like manhood looks like, and unlike the distorted type of manhood that the world preaches, that gives a very biased and different view of what it looks like compared to the Word of God. So that's the one thing. And then there's another lesson, particular quote, which says, "In the process of psychologizing the gospel, we eliminate the word sin from our vocabulary." And what do we mean by this? We There's certain things, sins that we commit, clear sins that we commit, but we somehow try to sanitize them. For example, if someone is giving a bribe or taking a bribe, or just say, we're just doing the guy a favor, and we take it as that and just try to like water it down. But in God's eyes, really, that is sin. And so it's the truth of this, the message of this book. It's really confrontational. You have to, when you're faced with sin, you have to call a spade a spade. That's what real manhood is all about, and that's something you have to adopt as a man yourself, or anyone really, because when we start psychologizing the gospel in that way, we eventually get to a place where we are tolerant of all sorts of behaviors which are contrary to the word of God. And so this teaches us, that particular lesson teaches us that, whenever we are faced with a situation and it's against the word of God, let's not try to find justifications of doing certain things. Or if you're someone who's running a business and you skip paying your taxes, while saying, I'll use the money, I'll pay the tax later, well, so that I can use the money to do one, two, three, and things like that. It's stealing, and it has to be called out as it is. These are just a few examples, but think about areas in your own life where you've tended to psychologize the gospel and you treat certain things as just simple things that I can take off later, but they're actually sin. So this is what this book does. It confronts you. It confronts those areas of your life where you've always tended to just sweep things under the carpet, but there are issues that actually need to be addressed. And then the other lesson is unforgiveness binds you to the sin of the one who has wronged you. So what Dr. Cole discovered in his years of working with men is that when you're unforgiving of someone who's done wrong towards you, when you fail to forgive them, right, the wrong thing that they did to you, you tend to replicate the same behavior towards other people because you're holding on to that sin, you're holding on to unforgiveness. So it's actually a scriptural pattern. In John 20 verse 23 says, the sins you forgive you release, but the sins that you don't forgive you retain. So if, for example, I as a and this you found this pattern particularly between father and son relationships, right? So if you had a dad who never used to take care of you, maybe they're always scolding you and stuff like that, and you hold on to that and you don't forgive them, saying I'll never be like that person or whatever it is, you'll find yourself replicating the same behavior with your own children because it's a sin that hasn't been forgiven. So that for me was like a powerful lesson indeed, that it applies across the board to whether it's a father-son relationship or with your colleagues or relatives or mother or whatever. But the sins that you don't forgive, you find yourself starting to do the same offense to other people. So forgiveness is a very big thing if you're going to live a maximized life as a man, right? And then I think lastly, one of the other key lessons is that one of the greatest thieves of family time is the television. How many people do you know today? They come home after a day of work. They just stay and sit in front of the TV. The kids are doing their own thing. The wife is doing their own thing, and there's never really that time to bond and really talk as a family and get to know one another. And so the encouragement here was that should never really be the case, because the time you have as a family, it's so important and precious that it's the time where you then get that opportunity to talk, to really learn each other, to understand one another, and constantly being in front of the television, it steals that time away from you, and you never really build real relationships with your family members. So I'd definitely say get a copy of this book, whether you're a man or even a woman. I'm sure you'll pick up some lessons that you can share with the men in your life that can help them to become the maximized men that God has called them to be. So yeah, get the book. For me, it has helped me personally, having been involved in the majoring in men curriculum, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's looking to grow in that area. So until next time, may God bless you. Take care. Remember to leave your comments below, and we can discuss further. Cheers.